Welcome, folks, to The Uncommon Good with Bo Bonner and Dr. Bud Marr. Every week, diving deep into the truth of Catholic social teaching and restoring all things in Christ.
The Uncommon Good is on the air. I'm Bo Bonner.
I'm Dr. Bud Marr.
And we are joining you from these United States of America here in the middle of the country, Des Moines, Iowa, where we are broadcasting on Iowa Catholic Radio. We both work at Mercy College of Health Sciences. I am the Senior Advisor for Mission Initiatives, but also the Director of the Center for Human Flourishing. Bud, what do you do at the old college?
I'm the Associate Provost of the college. On Twitter, there's a satirical Twitter handle about an Associate Dean. Do not turn there for your sense of the work that I'm doing. It's in good fun, but hopefully I perform at a little bit higher level than the Associate Dean that's on Twitter.
That's right. Now, why is this pertinent information? Of course, because Mercy College of Health Sciences underwrites our show. And I guess it's always pertinent, but sometimes we don't point out that the show is an outgrowth of the first version of us working together at Mercy College. I always like to point out as a marketing strategy, our good friend Matt Romke basically owes us money for pointing this out, that Mercy College of Health Sciences is a good enough place that Bud has worked here now twice. We stole you back.
Oh, yeah. Well, any conversation around people owing us money, I'm willing to have on air or otherwise. So I'm all for that. No, some great things like students are wrapping up for the fall term. But as we always try to emphasize on the show, a lot going on year round. So if any of this piques your interest, Mercy College does have some great offerings. So
mchs.edu for checking out the college and all that you can do as a student. And then for everybody who's interested, the Center for Human Flourishing, mchs.edu/flourish, we now have out and about not only the entire lecture that Dr. Hittinger gave for our inaugural honorary fellow talk for the center, but we also have 3-minute videos that we're going to be putting on social media so that people can get a taste of what that's all about. And then once they get the appetizer, Bud, maybe they'll go for the full course meal. mchs.edu/flourish. Make sure to go check out the video that's out now.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to keep my eyes peeled for the 3-minute videos. Be really good. And we are in the heart of Advent, so praying that everyone's Advent has been going well. I don't know, Bo, it's hard to pick a favorite liturgical time of the year, but this is up there. You've got the Immaculate Conception on December 8th. December 12th, of course, was Our Lady of Guadalupe. So, and then just the general sort of wonderful ambiance that comes with Advent.
I'm always appreciative of how right in the middle of everyone's candy canes and sugar plum elves, and we're having John the Baptist readings. I always love that Advent. It is, of course, very hopeful. It's one of my favorite things about Advent is we read a lot from Isaiah, which Isaiah can really bring the fire and have some hardcore stuff, but of course it's always sort of geared towards hopefulness. But so Advent is supposed to be dissonant, right? The old things passing away into the new. But yeah, it is really funny to be on TV as Santa's favorite dentist elf, and then it's John the Baptist talking about fire and brimstone. It's pretty great.
Well, this is a far lighter topic, but when you mentioned elf, I was at a holiday gathering last week with work, and they were doing this trivia game, and one of the questions was who did Elf on the Shelf originate with? I thought that's a tough one. I don't even remember the name now. It was Theresa somebody.
Okay. I would have guessed it was the guy who made Settlers of Catan. A name like that, Klaus Gruber or something like that.
I thought they were asking in which culture did Elf on the Shelf originate with, but I didn't know we were supposed to know the person who invented it.
That's right, the date and what time.
I think I wrote down
4 p.m.
Mattel.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have something much better than Elf on the Shelf for you today. And a good gift, right? You should go check this out. But if you go to quest.udallas.edu, our guest, Shannon Venezuela, who is going to join us and talk about this endeavor they have, it really is a sort of wonderful way to reach out and let people know about the quest of not only of faith, but of human life and humanities, the liberal arts. So we're going to talk to her today about what that's all about, the process that she went through creating it with a whole host of people. But we're looking forward to be able to have that conversation with her. And so when we get back on the Uncommon Good, that's what we're going to talk about. So make sure to stick around. This is the Uncommon Good. Bo Bonner, Dr. Bud Marr, joining you this Wednesday, Iowa Catholic Radio. Thank you for joining and listening to the show, and we'll be back after this.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by Golden Rule Heating and Cooling. Since 1999, Golden Rule Heating and Cooling has been supporting customers with their rules to live by: respect, understanding, loyalty, expertise, and service. Golden Rule Heating and Cooling is a family-run business, reminding you of the Golden Rule. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Golden Rule Heating and Cooling. GoldenRulePHC.com. Thank you, Golden Rule Heating and Cooling, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by Blessman International. According to a global food security report, more than 820 million people in the world are hungry today. None of us can help them all, but how about one? One child. Blessman International provides 60,000 children in South Africa with a daily hot meal, place of safety, educational experience, and spiritual development. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org. Thank you, Blessman International, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by Divine Treasures, a Catholic book and gift store serving the Des Moines community since 1992. Divine Treasures, 5701 Hickman Road, Des Moines, 515-255-5230. Thank you, Divine Treasures, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by the Sarah Vocations Ministry. Sarah is an apostolate dedicated to the support of new and existing vocations to the priesthood and consecrated life. Learn more at joinsarah.org, joinserra.org.
We're back with the Uncommon Good. Bo Bonner, Dr. Bud Marr, joining you this Wednesday. Thank you for listening to the show. Make sure to follow us all the ways you can on Iowa Catholic Radio, iowacatholicradio.com, the Iowa Catholic Radio app, where you can listen live anywhere that you have data. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, iowacatholicradio.com. Today we have a special guest with us, Dr. Shannon Valenzuela, who is the writer, director, and producer of the miniseries The Quest, and is currently an affiliate associate professor of English and the content director for the Liberal Learning for Life program at the University of Dallas. She earned her PhD in English from the University of Notre Dame, where she specialized in medieval literature. She's also an award-winning science fiction screenwriter and a novelist, and she's a monthly columnist for Stage 32, a networking and education platform for film and television creatives. Shannon, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, to be honest, there's too much to talk to you about in the short time we have. The science fiction stuff alone, I think, would be a good 30-minute episode. But particularly for today and all of the great work you're doing, we wanted to give you a chance to talk about this new initiative, The Quest. And it sounds very exciting just by the name alone. When Bud and I come up with titles, they're like 3 sentences long and they over-explain. But The Quest gets to the point, and I think it's exciting for precisely those reasons.
Yeah, thank you. We have a sort of a running joke in the academic community that a title should have a colon in it, so it's usually like something snappy and then colon and then, however many, 10 words after the colon to kind of explain what it is. So, yeah, in this case, we try to keep it really short and sweet and capture really the journey that we want to take people on.
Yeah, I studied 19th century literature, and they are famous for their book titles. Like, you have no doubt what the book is actually about because it's like
That's
a 3-sentence title.
Well, but
it's like no worry about spoilers.
That's right. Well, short of that, of course, since so The Quest, what is it? Because I know that exactly the point of, well, there's many points to The Quest, but one of the points is to make sure that people are able to access what is important to a lot of people. If you've done University of Dallas medieval literature programs, I teach in the great books. There's so much that we want people to have access to. But, of course, even as we're joking with these sort of 19th century, literature titles, there's ways in which people can feel like there's barriers to approaching barriers to approaching how this relates to our faith. And I think that this gets to the heart of what you guys are hoping to do with The Quest.
Yeah, that's right. We really wanted to take kind of like the best of what the University of Dallas does in terms of, sharing the best of like the Western tradition with our students on ground here at the university and share that with a much, much broader audience. And one of the things that I think is so exciting about the series and the way in which the faculty engage with the material is just how accessible it in fact actually is, and just how relatable they are, and how so encouraging it is to see not just professors from the theology department, which is what you might expect, because it's about discovering your purpose in this life and living it with courage. You would expect us to be very theology heavy, but in fact, we're drawing from literature, we're drawing from politics and philosophy, theology. We're really pulling across the curriculum and showing people that this question that we're asking is a human question, and not just sort of a, something that might be restricted just to, what traditionally might be understood as theology.
On the website, you talk about the miniseries drawing on stories from scripture, history, and literature to explore the Christian life as a narrative. And that phrase, as a narrative, really jumped out to me. Bo and I both studied at Duke Divinity School, and there they would talk about narratival theology. But
we both have narrative tattoos.
Yeah, that's right. And like when I was first exposed to that way of thinking about Christian theology, it was sort of new to me as well. But I do think in the faith sometimes that we can operate with the mindset like what's really important is the church has these propositional truths or dogmas or moral teachings, and of course those are vital. But I think that idea of narrative is really significant. Could you unpack for our listeners how approaching our faith journey as a kind of narrative can be a really helpful way to think about the spiritual life?
Yeah, I love that question. And, as a storyteller, one of the things that is so clear is that it's a journey, it's a process, right? It is not a static thing. It's not we understand these things and therefore the work is done. No, the work goes on. Every moment we face choices, and this is sort of where we begin with the quest, is that every moment is a crossroads in a sense. And we have a choice to either pursue the right path or we can start to veer off, but we have to continually make the choice. And I think that's something that story emphasizes so beautifully for us, is the process, is the journey, is the fact that, we're going to make mistakes, and it's how you recover from those that matters so much. It's the people that are with us on the journey that matter so much. It's that process of discovery and of walking and living the faith that's a dynamic and ever-changing sort of journey, where we're going to face new obstacles that we couldn't possibly have predicted. And I think if we approach the faith simply as a static sort of set of rules or doctrines, which, as you say, they're essential. We can't not have those things. But I think in terms of like living it out, thinking about it like a story helps us so much to kind of be prepared for the unknown things, that might come our way.
Well, you're talking to John Henry Newman Dorks here. I mean, but officially he got the PhD. I'm sort of a resident alien in Newman studies. But, one of the things he really points out is about, the intrinsic worth of knowledge itself. And I know that everybody devoted to this, even when we have to sort of market it, like, here's the useful reasons why you should do it. Don't worry, Mom and Dad, your kid will still get a job. But, the idea is it's all worth the time in and of itself. But what I find interesting, and to name drop someone else that we always talk about on the show, Joseph Pieper in Leisure, the Basis of Culture, right? He makes the point that, the mind has sort of, contemplation involves in many ways two things. Well, thinking does. The intellectus and the ratio. And he makes this idea that we have to set aside time to contemplate and to think and to receive, right? And then we also have, where we're dialectic, we think, we bring things together, we ask questions. But one of the things that's really happened to me as I've been blessed to teach these classes is you start to realize that if you open up intellectus, if you start to care about literature for its own sake, one of the useful things that happens besides, as Newman points it, is that you begin to see even the narrative aspect of what seems like dry texts. So even the propositions and the dogmas and all these things, you start to see the wonder and awe that birthed these great encyclopedic tomes. And so even, I know that this sounds maybe like magical thinking to people who aren't, book nerds like me, but at some point you really do start to see the magic behind, philosophical dialogues or even sort of dogmatic treatises. And I get this from, looking at the quest, that's something too that you're hoping people start to get, that actually there's a lot more narrative in even texts that seem to have none.
Yes, I think that's right. And again, I think it goes back to this idea of the process of discovery. And, we can't help but move through beginnings, middles, and endings. No matter how we might try to get around that, we are time-bound creatures, and beginnings and middles and endings are kind of that's how we live. That's what we experience. And so, yeah, I completely agree with you that there is that sense of discovery, of unfolding things, and seeing how they relate too. And I think that's the other really important thing is to start to realize that there are resonances all over the place, where we might not even expect to find them. You can start to hear the echoes of some of these truths across, many, many different works through many different time periods. And I think that's part of the wonder and excitement, and I love those words, the wonder and excitement of it all, is to start to realize that we are kind of all having the same conversation. And that gets really, really exciting.
Yeah, we just have a couple minutes before the break, but just stepping back for a moment, I think with these projects, it can be fascinating to our listeners to hear sort of like what sparked them or the inspiration. So I'm curious sort of like your role in helping to get this off the ground, but also why do you think this launched at the University of Dallas? Like, is there something about the mission and work you're doing there that informs the documentary series?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as far as where this came from, what we at the University of Dallas and in the Liberal Learning for Life program, one of the things that we do is to build these video course series. And we have 3 long series that we've built so far, all of them centered on a Catholic understanding of the human person. And the last class that we went through and did was called The Person, Action, and Influence. And it really kind of delved into this idea that we make choices and we take action in our world and we influence others to do the same. And so the whole series is kind of about how we make those decisions, what informs us. And once we finished that series, we really had kind of a desire to distill a little bit of that down and explore what exactly that looks like when you start to live it out, as we said, in sort of that narrative format. And so that kind of was where the quest evolved from, was out of this exploration of the person as an actor in the world and as an influencer in the world. And then to kind of bring it back to this idea of the sort of narrative arc of the human life. And as far as the work that we do at UD connecting in, we are primarily a teaching institution, and we really do perceive our role to be helping our students to find the true, the good, and the beautiful, and to walk that road with integrity and with joy. And so this project just seems a very natural offshoot of the work that we're already doing in the classroom. But as I said earlier, it just gives us the opportunity to share it with a much wider audience. Our
guest today, we're going to the break, is Dr. Shannon Valenzuela, and what she's doing. She's a writer, director, and producer for the mini-series The Quest. You can go find that at quest.udallas.edu. When we get back from the break, we'll talk more with Shannon. Thank you for being on the show, Shannon. We'll be back with The Uncommon Good right after this.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by Confluence Brewing Company, brewed locally since 2012 and featuring regular, seasonal, and limited release beers. Confluence Brewing Company, 1235 Thomas Beck Road off the bike trail south of Grays Lake. ConfluenceBrewing.com. Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by Five Sons Naturescapes. Five Sons Naturescapes is a Catholic veteran-owned family company providing premium outdoor landscaping. Learn more about Five Sons Naturescapes at FiveSonsNaturescapes.com. FiveSonsNaturescapes.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by Paul Martin and Paul Mitchell, owners of Imogene Ingredients. Imogene Ingredients supply specialized feed ingredients for livestock and pet diets to improve maternal and young animal health in both conventional and organic production.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by Five Sons Naturescapes. Five Sons Naturescapes is a Catholic veteran-owned family company providing premium outdoor landscaping. Learn more about Five Sons Naturescapes at FiveSonsNaturescapes.com. FiveSonsNaturescapes.com. Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by Bell Construction.
Bell Construction is a roofing company. They specialize in residential re-roofs, like commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494. Bell Construction.
with the Uncommon Good, Bo Bonner, Dr. Bud Marr, joining you this Wednesday. Thank you for listening to the show. On the show today, we have our guest, Dr. Shannon Valenzuela, who's the writer and director and producer of the mini-series The Quest, and is currently an affiliate associate professor of English and content director for Liberal Learning for Life program at the University of Dallas. Shannon, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you.
Now, we've been talking a lot about narrative, and I would think that a natural question would be, what's the narrative of your show? So if people are looking to get involved in the series, so what is the sort of narrative arc that you guys have imbued your show with?
Yeah, this is such a great question. And, as I mentioned, this series kind of comes out of a consideration of how we act in the world. And the sort of tagline for this series is discover your purpose, live it with courage. And so we begin at the beginning with when we feel God is calling us. So the very first episode is where we encounter the voice of God, where we feel we are being called to some definite work in the world. So that's called the voice of God within. The second episode, we step out onto the path and we start talking about what it starts to look like as we pursue this work that God is calling us to do. And so the second episode is called The Appointed Task. Witness, the third episode, tracks us when we get into those places where the call might ask us for some extraordinary sacrifices. And, that becomes a challenging part sometimes of the journey is when we're confronted with those really difficult decisions. And so Witness tracks the lives of the saints and things like that to help us think through how we approach those challenging moments. The fourth episode is The Dark Night of the Soul. And so this takes us through that moment that we're so familiar with from stories that we know and love, where the hero gets knocked down. And it seems like he's abandoned. We have those moments of spiritual desolation. What do we do with those? How do we continue to move forward, even in those periods where we feel really alone and we feel like things are not going well in our lives? And then the fifth episode finally turns us towards hope and towards heaven and kind of shows us why the end of the journey is what really inspires us with the courage to keep going no matter the circumstances we find ourselves in.
No, Shannon, this sounds great. I'm really happy this project is getting off the ground here, and we encourage our listeners to definitely go check it out. If folks do want to find out more about the Quest or about any of the work that you're doing, where can they turn?
Yeah, we would invite people to join us at quest.udallas.edu, which is where you can find the trailer for this series. And you can also sign up to receive the episodes. They are free, and you can receive those directly in your email box. So we would encourage people to jump on our email list. We also have one-page study guide PDFs that go along with each episode that are available. So if people want to do further reading, any of the text that we mentioned in the episodes, we've kind of given people a way to kind of use this maybe to journal, to reflect, or even to do like a small group study session. So we encourage people to jump over to quest.udallas.edu and find all the resources that we have for everyone.
Now, we have like one more minute or so left with you. So the real hard question, which is harder, writer, director, producer, or dealing with radio hosts? Which of the four is the more difficult job that you did?
Oh, they all have their joys and challenges. But I would say that, in all seriousness, I found the writing process to be the most challenging and also, a really rewarding part of the process. And it took us a little bit to figure out our approach to this very, it's a big topic, and to try to get it distilled down into 5 30-minute episodes was a weighty challenge. But it was such a rewarding process all the way through. And getting to bring this out to the world. And I just want to thank you both for giving us this opportunity to share the work.
Well, we're going to give you partial credit on the exam because the right answer was working with radio hosts, but you did show your work. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we appreciate it. And one more time, people really do need to go check this out. Quest.udallas.edu. And Dr. Shannon Valenzuela, thank you so much for reaching out to us, getting on the show, and the work that you're doing for the public good. We're a show about the common good, and we not only love the subject that you're doing, but we think that you're doing a real service to everyone. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Well, folks, thank you for being a part of the Uncommon Good. But if people want to join our prayer life here on Iowa Catholic Radio, what are ways that they can do that?
So if you want to join our prayer life, probably the best way is to download the Iowa Catholic Radio app if you haven't already. The Rosary is available there all the time, but we also pray it on air at 10 a.m., and then the Angelus right before noon at 11:55. Then later in the afternoon, 2:55 p.m., we pray the Divine Mercy Chaplet on air.
And, of course, it's Advent season, so joining us in prayer is a wonderful way to prepare for the coming of the Lord. But also this is a good time to think about what gifts that we are gracious for that God has given us. And, of course, it's a great gift to be a part of Iowa Catholic Radio and this ministry that we do. Bud and I can't ever say thank you enough for all the people who made it possible for us to join you on the air every week. But that also means that it's sustained through your gifts of your prayers, volunteer service, the volunteers that we're so thankful for, but also, of course, your material donations. So if you're thinking about it this year, about a gift that you can give that can then be replicated as a gift to others, the gift of Iowa Catholic Radio and the ability for it to reach out to so many people is a wonderful way to do that. iowacatholicradio.com. Of course, you can listen live, but you can also donate there. You can call 515-223-1150 or text donate to that number and have that gift redouble as a gift to others through the broadcast of Iowa Catholic Radio. Bud, happy Advent, Christmas coming soon. I hope that you and yours are ready to go and enjoying the season of Advent to its fullest.
Yeah, I don't want to jump the gun with Advent, but I do pray blessings for everyone during this holy season.
And I'll be honest, at some point they're going to replace us with Christmas tunes. Bud and I offered to record hours of Christmas tunes, but they turned us down.
Oh, holy night. Sorry, I better stop there.
This is the Uncommon Good, and unless you send in requests for songs, we'll talk to you next week.
The Uncommon Good with Bo Bonner and Dr. Bud Marr is heard every week on wonderful Catholic stations like this one, and anytime on podcast. Just search for The Uncommon Good.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and The Uncommon Good provided by Mercy College of Health Sciences. Learn more at mchs.edu.